Good evening, everyone. We will see you back again, as we didn't quite get everything done. We made some really good progress and moving things forward, but there was nothing left at the desk. There were not any more conference committee reports to take up. There was nothing else for us to do. We literally cleared the entire, everything that was available to us at this time. Tomorrow morning, our conference committees become working groups, and the work will continue going forward. We have to finish this. We don't have a choice. That is what Minnesotans expect us to do. We will be able to get that work done in a bipartisan fashion. That is what is needed. We talk about that all of the time. Hard decisions still have to be made, and then we will come back when the governor calls us to finish up the work for Minnesotans and then get back into our districts.
When might that be, do you think?
That is up to the governor, but again, the working groups start already tomorrow morning, so there's no delay in the work that needs to be done. Those conference committees is what they were up until now at midnight. They were working all the way through the evening, and they'll pick that back up in the morning, all of them.
And you so many weeks of negotiations over the global targets. What are the big points right now that are being debated, if you're able to share?
We just need the rest of the things settled up. One of the things that is going to be a little bit more contentious is that insurance for undocumented Minnesotans. Again, that change was made to end that for adults, keeping it going forward for Minnesotans. I want to make sure people understand, though, that is not ending the ability for those that are here undocumented to get health care. It just stops Minnesota taxpayers from footing the bill for the insurance for that.
Why bring up the OIG bill now after it's been ready in the Senate for a couple weeks?
The OIG bill is pretty important, and as you heard, if you were listening to debate, we could not move that forward in the House. It really got stalled out. From the very beginning of this session, when Republicans were here day one to get sworn in, and then the 23 days that we were here while House Democrats stayed out of work and didn't show up, we were still pushing on that fraud thing. Minnesota has record fraud. We know the governor supports even the bill that was heard. He said, if there's an OIG bill, put it on my desk, I will sign it. That bill passed with wide bipartisan support out of the Senate. We could not get it to move in the House. You saw that there was hesitation from the Democrats, and they prevented us from even debating the bill. We would have had time to debate that tonight. Fraud is something that has to be addressed here in the state of Minnesota. We have made great strides going forward. The fraud committee, the different things that we have done, different bills, the governor supports that. The Democrats say they want to address it, but their votes don't show that. So work will continue going forward. That protects the programs in Minnesota, that when dollars are going out to fraudsters, they're not going out to the people that are most in need. So it protects Minnesotans, and it obviously protects the taxpayers.
Yeah, I will just add on that. Representative Anderson introduced a version of that bill as House File 1. She's been working across the aisle and with the senators ever since the Senate was bringing forward that version of the bill and passed it. She's been trying to get House Democrats to do something other than having to bring it up the way we had to do it today. But this is this was the final moment for us to be able to pass this year, and we thought it was important to at least give it one last shot.
So does that mean it was House Democrats that were kind of hesitant about that, making it so that you guys couldn't bring it up until tonight?
To suspend the rules, we needed 90 votes. We only had 70. So we did have bipartisan support to bring that up. We just didn't have the full 90 that we needed.
Did you guys talk about this issue in the discussions with the governor? I asked because before the Senate brought up this bill, I asked the governor if he supports it, and he says he doesn't think it's the best use of the approach of what you're trying to do in tackling fraud. So I'm just curious, has he said something different to you about that?
This exact topic or bill, the topic came up with the governor, but this exact bill specifically didn't come up either for or against it, though.
Okay. He did say he was for it when he was in the House chamber giving his State of the State address. So we've gotten some mixed messages from the governor. That's been disappointing as well.
Do you think you'll do any work on this in the working group period before the special session?
There's still quite a bit that needs to be done in that working group to finish everything up. Fraud and preventing fraud in Minnesota is a topic of conversation. The bills are ready to go. They could be slipped in at any point in time during that special session.
Realistically, isn't this going past Memorial Day? It's already Tuesday tomorrow.
I was going to say,
why are you so negative?
I was going to say, thank you for telling me what day it is.
I like to think of it as realistic.
You know what, the governor will call it, as I said earlier, conference committees worked all the way up through tonight, the working groups that flips tomorrow morning, and we will push hard on that, working all through the day, whatever they need to do, exchanging offers. The governor will call us. We are ready to move things forward and get it done as quickly as possible for the people of Minnesota.
Can they meet in public ever? Because we have no idea what they're doing.
They will be able to meet in public, and they will work similar to a conference committee. They just aren't exactly a conference committee. But yes, that will be as public as possible.
Are any changes to the compromise on undocumented immigrants,
There's
healthcare?
no change to the global targets and that were agreed on.
Is anything on the table to change that
Nothing
at
has
all?
been discussed to any changes of what we signed in as leaders. Just last Thursday, there have been no changes to that agreement.
Consider any proposals to change that?
You know what? We had really great bipartisan conversations and support to get us to those global targets. There is nothing that has been discussed to be changed at this point.
Michelle has a question.
If necessary to pass that bill.
Good to see you. Good to see you back.
Good to be back. In order to pass that, are you willing to put up all the votes necessary from your caucus to pass that bill? I'm talking about the immigrant Minnesota care provision.
You know, what we're talking about is going to be the health finance bill, and as that comes through out of working group, conference committee, and then when we get that final bill, we will definitely be voting on a full health bill with the right provisions. It absolutely is, and that's where it's landed all along. That's Minnesota Care, and it is Minnesota Care as it has been.
Yeah, because you
There will
proposed
need to be
It's
votes
okay.
from both sides in order to get anything out of the House, obviously. Michelle.
Anticipate lawmakers having to work over Memorial Weekend, the working groups?
Lawmakers are working really hard to get things done as soon as possible.
We're 4 minutes to midnight. How would you say the power sharing agreement went for this legislative session?
It is really interesting as you watched the stutter start, stop, start, you know, the whole thing that kind of went through as we tried to get set this year. Nothing was exactly perfect. It was really hard, but I think the power sharing overall went very well. We had the one seat advantage for a number of weeks, and then when we went back to a tie, we absorbed that right away back to co-chairs and equal number of voting members in the committees, with the exception of the fraud committee, where we still hold that that majority in there. But it did go very well. You didn't see as many things getting passed through, but the things that needed to made their way through. But there was already bipartisan support on everything that passed from committees because it had to be, and then what you saw pass off the House floor.
It went a lot better. It went a lot better than a Democrat trifecta went for the state of Minnesota.
Do you oppose having that go as a standalone bill? You want it to be part of
That
the...
definitely needs to be part of the health bill. Yeah, that's all part of it.
Because Senator Murphy thinks it has to be a standalone bill to pass.
We
over
haven't
there.
had those discussions at all, but at this point, we know that it is part of the entire package, and that is what our expectation is.
What if it jeopardizes the passage of that larger bill? I mean, if you could get that
We
done.
need 68 votes to pass any bill off of the House floor. I believe that we have 68 votes at a minimum to pass what we need to off the House floor.
Both parties need to uphold the deal. That's the way that legislation is going to pass, is that both parties that signed an agreement uphold their end of the agreement.
So you're going to need Democratic votes is what
We
you're
always do.
telling me.
Here in this tied situation, we need 68 votes.
They're reluctant, needless to say, to put up those votes, and you know that. So are you asking for something else from them to get the votes so that they don't have so the budget gets passed, basically?
The global
ultimately?
agreement that we came to already that was announced on Thursday really did prove that we came together with some compromises and some of those priorities that came out. So I think we're in a good position to get the votes needed to move forward and get the work done for the taxpayers and the people of Minnesota.
There are a lot of parts of this budget deal that aren't what either party would want if they had had total control. We're all giving up something. We expect Democrats to uphold their part of the deal.
Speaker, do you have like an expectation on the number of Democrats that might support the health care rollback?
You know, we haven't talked about numbers either way, and the work goes on within our caucuses. And so as long as we have 68 votes to get things off the House floor, that's what we need.
Some Democrats have suggested, with maybe without going so far as saying it, that this was like your line in the sand. You were willing to shut the government down over this issue if there wasn't any changes to Minnesota care for undocumented immigrants. Is that a fair assessment?
House Republicans were very dug in the fact that we know $18 billion of surplus was spent over the last 2 years, $10 billion of taxes and fees raised on Minnesota families. What we wanted was to see a relief for families, and what that resulted in the state budget is the targets show $5 billion of reduced spending from biennium to biennium. So as far as people saying that we were going to go as far as shutting the government down, that was never a topic for House Republicans. That was not part of it. Going forward, we will get this work done.
Was
though.
the healthcare issue your top position in the negotiating room? Is that what you wanted most?
We definitely knew that we had to look at the fiscal conservative things that were missing out of the state budget over these last 2 years. We needed to reduce waste and fraud and reduce that state budget because of the impending structural deficit. You saw that come out in the global targets that we worked on. House and Senate, Democrats, Republicans, along with the governor. I think we're in a good spot to finish up the work for the people of Minnesota.
Did the governor tell you he's concerned about having to start making preparations for a government shutdown, at least partial, if you don't have your work done in timely fashion?
We are absolutely going to be getting right to that work, continued on from what we've done over this session and starting again with those working groups in the morning to get the work started so the governor can call the special session so we can finish up things for the people of Minnesota.
So you're not concerned about that, about the shutdown?
I am looking forward to the governor calling us back into the special session.
Are you going to have some no shenanigans handshakes?
You know what? I would say that Chair Torkelson has done a phenomenal job of making sure no shenanigans went through as we had to set up how we were going to come up with targets, and you can see that it worked very well. Right. If that's what it takes, absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes. I said, I think it's the no shenanigans handshake that made you guys pass some budget bills, right?